Hello and welcome to the introductory video for the multi-setup functionality in Bladed. Multi-setup allows you to generate multiple calculations based on the currently loaded project by varying different parameters. These generated calculations will then be added to batch to be run later. This video will introduce you to the multi-setup user interface and how to use its basic features by creating a few very simple example configurations. So this is Bladed. I've loaded the demo A project. I've selected Power Production Loading Calculation to run and click on Multi-Setup button to bring up the Multi-Setup window. You're initially presented with the Help Tips dialog, which contains Getting Started help to explain the features of the different areas of the user interface. Each page corresponds to a different area of the user interface, which is highlighted as you go through. The text can reference other areas of the user interface, so just hover over the link and that will highlight the areas just to help you find your way around. Okay, so we'll start by varying the wind speed parameter. So the calculation parameters are accessed using the left hand pane in the tree. As we know, what we're looking for was use the search facility and type in wind speed. Drag the parameter into the configuration area, and you can see there are 5 different ways of providing values for each parameter. From project, just lets you use the value from the project, in this case it's 2. Range lets you provide values from a value to another value with a certain step. Specific values lets you provide a list of specific values. Mapping lets you provide a list of values depending on the value from another parameter. We'll have a little example of that later in this video. An expression lets you provide a complex expression. We'll go into that in another video as it's a bit more advanced. So in this example we'll use range and we'll use from 5 to 10 step 5. So that will provide us with 2 values, 5 and 10. So if you look here in the calculation summary table, each row represents a calculation that will be generated. So the first calculation will have a wind speed of 5, the second 10. The path column is the file name of the calculation that will be generated. So it's currently blank, so we need to enter something into that. So let's type in the path format editor, let's do wind underscore. This lets us reference a parameter and we'll choose wind speed. And you can see we now have 2 file names, wind A and wind B. We'll change that using the path tag drop down and we'll change that to value so we can see the value itself in the file name. So we've got wind 5 and wind 10. Before we add these calculations to batch, let's vary another parameter, wind direction this time. So let's find wind direction in the tree. Double click to add this time and choose specific values and add 2 values, 90 and 180. So you can see in the calculation summary table there are now 4 rows, meaning 4 calculations will be generated. This is because each parameter has got 2 values and they've combined to produce the 4 different combinations. Let's update the path format take the direction into account too, so let's add direction, and again we'll use the value for the direction as you can see, and then click on the add to batch button because we want to add these jobs in the output folder, and it's generated the 4 jobs in batch. So we can run these now or run these later, so we'll leave those for later. Okay, we'll explore a couple more of the configuration options now. Let's add another parameter to vary, the wind shear exponent. Now you can see here, by default it comes from project. The value is 0.2, and in the calculation summary table you can see for each calculation the wind shear exponent is 0.2. It doesn't add any more calculations to be generated because there's just 1 value, so it uses that for each one. If we choose the mapping, now let's map wind shear exponent to wind direction. And you can see in the left hand column the 2 values of wind direction. And we can say for 90 degrees, the wind direction, the exponent is 0.2. For 180, it's 0.3. And again, you can see this reflected in the calculations summary table. Again, there's no more calculations generated, but every time the wind direction is 90, the wind shear exponent is 0.2, 180, 0.3. So this is a one-to-one mapping. Now, if you wanted a few more mappings for the 90 degrees wind direction, say, we can add a one-to-many mapping just by adding a couple more rows for the 90. So let's add 0.21, 0.22. And you can see, because we've now got one-to-many mappings, there are more calculations generated. So every time the wind direction is 90, there are now 3 values. Wind shear exponent 180 has still got the 1. So there are now 8 calculations generated altogether. Well, that's as far as we'll go for now, but there's other videos which will go into the features in a lot more depth. Before I go, I'll just show you the last page of the help tips dialog, where you can find resources for further help. There's a link to the user manual, which you can also get by the button in the top right. This goes into all the features in a lot more depth. Here's a link to the videos for multi-setup, and we've provided some useful example multi-setup configurations that you can import to look at features in more detail. So that's it for now. Good luck and have fun using multi-setup.